We are talking with Scott Kellum from SixCentSports.com and SBR contributor John Ryan, previewing Week 13 in the NFL here on the SBR TV NFL Experts Roundtable. All right, Scott, let's go. Packers at Giants. This is a game I want to talk about. I know you're an expert on the Packers, and you've given us great advice on Packers games since you've been doing these calls. And the reason I want to ask you about this is because it seems like a line that might have a lot of value, and I want to see what your opinion is if you would talk me out of it. The value obviously here appears at first glance to be with the Packers. The Packers are off of extended rest and a very good quality road win on Thanksgiving Day over Detroit, a double-digit road win. The Giants, of course, are off of a short week. They just got blown out, and they are known for fading in the second half of the year. It's something that everyone talks about. So looking at this line, just glancing at it, you got to think the Packers -7 is, I think that's a line that's going to close at 7.5, and it's probably a line with some value. Do you agree or disagree?
Well, I make the number 1.5, but my numbers have been off on Green Bay all year, so I don't think there's a lot of validity to my numbers there. I mean, and Green Bay is obviously playing very well, and they're blowing through my numbers, so I don't think my 1.5 is valid. I mean, what we do know is Green Bay's won every game this year by at least 6 or more, so I think the rule of thumb that I've kind of gone with Green Bay here recently is if they're favored by less than a touchdown, I think it's pretty hard to look at the opponent. The Packers are going to score points in this game, so it comes down to can the Giants score enough points. I would probably lean towards the over more than anything. Mm-hmm. I was on the radio in Vegas last weekend. I'm in the M contest, and one of my picks was the over in the Saints-Giants game. Number one, because I predicted from a value standpoint, I think I predicted about 52 points, so there's a little bit of value. But just the way those two teams were going to play the game, they were both going to throw the ball a lot. I think you have the same exact scenario with Green Bay and the Giants here. The Giants can't run the ball anyway, but Green Bay's going to throw the ball. They're going to do what they do. They're going to score points. And the Giants can score points as well. So even though it's a relatively high total, but just the way the game's going to play out, I think the best play in this game might be the over in the game.
So you don't see a relatively easy cover by the Packers here?
I don't, and the reason I don't is because I make my number 1.5, even though I admit that I know that number's not right, and it's not been right all year in the Packers. But I think to lay 7 points on the road against a Giants team that can throw the ball and score starts to get a little bit dangerous. This game may play out very much like San Diego. It's kind of the same type of team that throws the ball. The Packers won that game by 7. It's very high scoring, obviously. I know they were up by 21 late in the game. They kind of let them back in it a little bit, but I just don't like to lay that many points with the Packers. I still have a problem with the Packers with their defense, and I think in some way, shape, or form they'll get that figured out this year because they've got quality playmakers on defense, but they're still giving up a lot of yards. I just think it's dangerous with that type of defense to be laying a bunch of points on the road. I think the Giants will get 24 points in this game, so can the Packers score 31? If you think they can, then I think the game, they'll cover and the game will go over the total. So.
Okay, John Ryan, maybe I feel about the Packers the way you feel about Dallas. So what do you think about this line? Packers -7?
Well, this almost seems too good to be true, and that's what gives me concern with it. Yeah, like Scott said, the Giants' defense is horrid right now. They're a team in disarray. Yeah, some of the players are making comments in the New York press. It was the safety, I believe, Roll said it, that that was a must-win with the Saints game. Otherwise, they're going to have a historical, meltdown again. And you just don't say things in the press like that, as we all know. They seem to be a team that is just completely falling apart. Now, objectively, my simulator shows that the Packers will obviously have success throwing the ball. And it has a 85% probability that they're going to throw for 9 or more net passing yards per attempt. When the Giants have achieved this inept type of defensive result, they are 0-1 against the spread this year, 0-10 against the number the last 3 years, 11-51 against the spread since 1992. Now, I like what Scott said about the over. I think if you make a play here, it is the over. Green Bay will certainly want to get out to a double-digit lead as quickly as possible and get the Giants out of the game, get the crowd out of the game. Now, again, with the situation I said, the high probability the Packers will throw for 9 or more net passing yards per attempt. The over in those games involving the Giants is 8-0 the last 3 seasons, and 27-7 since 1992. So I clearly agree with Scott that this game is this could be one of those that goes over the total before the third quarter is even done.
All right. Well, to me, it definitely looks like another one of those games that the public is obviously going to be attracted to one side, but that the public has been overwhelmingly right about, both in college and in NFL this year.